Hello, everyone. It is Wednesday at 2 o'clock. So that means it's Fast Facts and Features with me, the brand ambassador for ethical flooring. And today we are chatting again with Kevin. And this time his backdrop is a little different and mine's a little different. That you are in the showroom, Kevin, because we are going to carry on our conversation that we started last month about underpad for carpeting as well as underlay for hardwood floor. And let's do a little bit of education why we need both. Let's start with underpad for carpeting. Why do we need that?
Yeah, it's one of the things that's often not thought about. People come in, they're searching for carpet, and then we almost have to, as salespeople, we have to bring it up, say, oh, by the way, there's different options for underlay. And, you know, obviously for the average lay person shopping, that's not something on their mind, but carpet is really an installation system. To successfully have a nice installation that'll last over time. You need a system. You need a quality carpet, you need a quality underlay, and you need it installed well. So the underlay is actually a huge part of that system. So one of the primary things that it does obviously is create comfort, right? Mm-hmm. So you're putting anywhere from 3/8 of an inch to 1/2 inch of foam directly underneath the carpet. That's where predominantly where your cushion comes from when you're walking across, and you feel like a soft cushy feel, which is what most people love about carpet. You know, part of that is the carpet you buy. Another part of it is obviously the underlay. So that's, most people recognize that. The thing that it actually does in a performance wise is that it greatly extends the life of the carpet. So
I didn't know that.
No, most people don't. So it's, you know, if you imagine carpet, it's a textile, it's a fabric, right? Mm-hmm. And as you walk on it, your foot is trying to crush that fabric into the ground, and over time your foot wins, and that's when the carpet is worn out, right? But those individual yarns, those textile fabric, it needs help and support, and that's actually what the foam. So here's just one of our underlays that we carry. When you stick the foam underneath it, the foam is actually taking a large part of that energy that your foot is pushing down as you're walking, and it's made out of foam, so it absorbs and it rebounds, and so that will greatly extend the life of your carpet.
So if it's almost like an analogy, because I started in business a million years ago in the clothing fashion, or in fashion, it's almost like what the lining of a jacket does, or the lining in a good quality pair of pants is the friction, and it's helping take that wear and tear on the lining versus that good quality wool that's on that jacket or that beautiful pair of pants are made out of. That's kind of how I think a woman thinks is, you know.
Sounds good. I could never be accused of being a fashion expert, so I'll take your word for it.
What about acoustical? Does the carpet play, or does the underpad in carpeting play anything to do with acoustical, say for the person living below me or the bedroom or something that's below me?
Yeah, I mean, again, just the two paired together obviously is the quietest floor covering that you can get. So quality carpet with an underlay, and the thickness of the underlay of these things, people try to split hairs sometimes, but it really doesn't make a big difference. You have two categories in flooring. You have soft surface, which is carpet, and far and away going to be your quietest and most comfortable. And then we have everything else, which is hard surface. And that's where we get into various types of underlay to try to mitigate the sound that they naturally exhibit as you walk across them. But carpeting, obviously, very quiet. Definitely people, if you have tenants living underneath you and you have a specific area you want to keep very quiet, carpet is your first choice. Obviously, it's not everybody's preferred choice. So then we go into plan B, which is how do we mitigate a hard surface floor as good as we can.
Okay, so my next question, because when I finished being a project manager a couple of years ago, the whole idea of now the acoustical glues that are for hard surfaces, could I use, this is just a purely ignorant conversation and thought process, one of those acoustical glues for underneath my carpet? Or has it been designed for,
No. So in a residential carpet application or installation, there actually is no glue used or any adhesive. So again, most people have never seen carpet installed or removed it. So you know, it's just kind of a blank area in people's minds, and as it should be. It's not something you should lay awake at night dreaming about, right? But all residential carpets are installed via what we call a stretch-in method. So the perimeter of the room will have tack strips. The proper name for it is called smooth edge. The underlay is rolled down. Oftentimes, if you're on plywood, it's stapled into the plywood. If you're on concrete, you can use adhesive to glue the pad down. Most don't. Usually most installers will just tape the seams of the underlay. And then the carpet is then laid over top and stretched against those tack strips. And so, yeah, it is an adhesive free installation. So yeah, those new generation of hardwood glues you're talking about, fantastic for hardwood and solve a lot of problems, but definitely not something we would use on the carpet side.
Okay, so now let's move to those laminates and the hardwood floor, the hard surface, as you say, and the underlay or underlay, it's now called, that goes underneath hardwood flooring. So what are some of the variations or materials that are available? And let's get a little bit into the acoustical, which may be a conversation that we carry over because about the acoustical ratings, another one of my favorite topics to do with testing.
Yeah, that could be a 12-part series that you and I could do. For all of 2022, we will be talking about
acoustical ratings and science.
Yeah, so on the hard surface side, so a lot of floors require underlay. Hardwoods do, laminates do, anything really that's a click together floating type product. Some of the cork products do, though a lot of them have their own attached underlay now, but same with the vinyl planks. A lot of them have their own attached underlay. So, but definitely on the hardwood and definitely on the laminate, and sometimes with the click together marmoleum as well too, even though again it has a attached cork underlay, but sometimes it's not sufficient. So the three primary types, I brought one of them here. This is our swinger set of foam.
Oh my gosh, look at all the different ones.
There's a lot. All has its own application and sound rating and best use case, but just broadly overview, your three primary types of underlays are going to be a foam or a synthetic, petroleum based product. You're going to have the traditional cork underlay in either 4mm or 6mm thickness, which is my favorite, by the way. If someone can have a favorite underlay, that's mine. And then there's also another long-term product in the industry is a recycled tire product. So it's actually made out of recycled car tires, truck tires. It's extruded into a very thin 3.5mm thick underlay, and that creates basically a sound absorbent mat that gets rolled down. It provides some cushioning for the wood. So that's also a great product and can be installed along with the cork as either a single glue or double glue installation. So it's a bit technical and we probably don't have time to get into it, but in some instances, you'll actually want to glue the underlay to the subfloor and then glue the hardwood floor to the underlay. This is called a double glue because you're gluing twice. So the advantage of that is you've sandwiched the subfloor and the hardwood floor with an acoustical layer in between, be it cork or be the recycled tire, the rubber. So obviously you can imagine if you have a tenant below or you're in a condo, it's a great advantage to have this acoustical membrane in between, but you still get a very solid feel that you get underfoot with the glue down floor, which is whenever we can what we want to do and try to achieve.
Well, when I just think about and envision that when that double glue down, there's not even the possibility of like a little bit of a bubble where an echo can travel. It's not, it's very firm. And some of the adhesives I know, not even the ones that are acoustical, some of the adhesives say that they've got a bit of an acoustical rating as well. So we've got a little bit of acoustical glue, we've got the underlay, more acoustical glue, and then the flooring on top. And I do remember, I think Alan Zeben, who taught me a million years ago, was a mentor in the business, and I know he's been on here, that in a wood frame building, when you choose to put the glue in and acoustical and the hardwood floor, you're almost beefing up your foundation or your structure as well. Is you're giving yourself another big solidly put piece onto your subfloor, so it becomes very rigid as well. And it's And it's a lot easier to maintain too. It's no one likes to feel a sense of bounce underneath their
No,
foot.
no, and there are times, unfortunately, in high rises where we have to meet specific strata requirements, which is that other conversation,
Right.
that precludes us from being able to do a glue down install, and we do have to do floating in that instance. And yeah, it's not the ideal installation method if you can get away with it.
Right.
So wherever we can in a high rise, we'll try to push for the double glue install if the strata will allow us. And yeah, it's really an impressive system when you see it being installed, and when it is installed, you're like, there's something of substance there
Mhm.
that's about it that you can say, wow, like this is really well done. It's as quiet as we can possibly make it, without giving up any of the underfoot comfort, sorry, or any, like you mentioned, any sort of movement underfoot
Mhm.
when you're walking across the floor. Um, you know, it eliminates those things. So yeah, there's a lot of acoustic, and noise is something we talk about every day. It's you know, especially as more and more people are buying and moving into high rises, being respectful to your neighbor below, and dealing with strata councils is just a reality.
So you know what? That's a perfect place, because why don't we carry on this conversation about the science connected to the acoustical ratings? Because all of a sudden you'll get a spec, and I remember as a project manager, it has to be an acoustical rating of 69 and blah 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 blah, and I'm like, what? Where are you getting this information? So
Yeah.
let's cover that, and maybe we'll do a little bit of show and tell. And we'll share screen, and we'll bring up one of the specs for one of the products that you use,
Mm,
so you can explain what those numbers mean in an actual environment. I think we'll
that's
be
a great idea. I like that.
okay. So let's talk science of sound when it comes to flooring, specifically hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, as well as linoleum, because they're all a little bit different when they're installed with acoustical underneath.
Who would have thought that as we got into flooring, that I would become an acoustic engineer and a cement expert, and a psychologist and a marriage counselor, and all of these things in one.
And remember, you're a dad too.
And I have to be a dad.
Okay, thank you so much, Kevin. So stay tuned for next week for we get a little scientific next week on fast facts and features with me, the brand ambassador for ethical flooring. Have a good day, everybody.
Bye.